It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
By the great patriots of Act 746, they are on a mission to educate the people of Arkansas on your Second Amendment rights based on what the law says. And that has to do with constitutional carry, permitless carry. You can look them up on Facebook.com. Just type in the search bar, Patriots of Act 746, and ask to become a part of their growing group today. Here to talk more about this is Mr. Dan Borum with the Patriots of Act 746. Dan, welcome back to the program, sir.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I am doing well, and I wish this Attorney General opinion had just not, I guess, not been what it is. I don't know. I'm kind of frustrated about it. Have you read it?
I've read it about 3 different times now, and I've read through it. The first time I read through it, I just read through it kind of quickly. And then the second time, I slowed down and tried to read it a lot more carefully. And then the third time, I was trying to read it line by line, word by word. And I just came out scratching my head. And I kind of started laughing. I was just thinking about Senator Linda Collins Smith reading this opinion when she first received it, and possibly the look on her face. Bless your heart, Miss Rutledge. We all see that you didn't even throw the senator a bone. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can you say, starting out, that there is no penalty for carrying a weapon concealed without a permit, and then come back and say that the courts will possibly see you carrying a weapon concealed without a permit as that being unlawful intent? Now, what she said is, if I go out with my family to a restaurant and I have my weapon concealed and I do not have a permit, she is saying that I am going out with the intent to harm someone or possibly kill someone.
Yeah.
Rather than protecting my family. Are you kidding me? How in the world can a court say that you had unlawful intent because you didn't have a permission slip from the government?
Well, yeah, and in order to have unlawful intent, though, and by the way, they have to prove that. It doesn't say anywhere in there that you're doing harm. I mean, you're doing harm against another person. So you're saying that she is arguing that not having the concealed handgun is evidence that you're going to harm another person, and that is legal gymnastics right there, mental gymnastics to do that, and she's the one that's now made it more unclear, and actually is making people less safe because now they don't know if they can defend themselves or not.
Well, I'll tell you what, I called a mutual friend of ours yesterday evening, Mr. Tim Loggins, and talked to him for about 30 minutes concerning this opinion, and I highly value Tim's expertise in this matter, being retired law enforcement. I tell you what, I totally agree, and I agree with what you said this morning. This is by plan. She has done this by plan. She has thrown a bone to legislation to gut 746.
Yep.
This and here's another thing. I just wonder, I'm curious as to how long this opinion has been on her desk. I wonder how long it's been sitting there. Do you think she just recently wrote it?
Well, I'm not sure if she recently wrote it or not. I definitely think that there was some consultation with other attorneys to try to figure out how to do this. And it might have been on her desk for a while, but this opinion, this opinion certainly took a lot of strategy, in my opinion, to set it up the way it's been set up for them, like you said, to really take away our Second Amendment rights. Because right now we have a lot of freedom concerning that, according to the law. I mean, she says right there, there is no penalty. There is no penalty for carrying a weapon.
Exactly.
And then she says, but.
Right.
You know, and nobody's ever even thought of this before. Like, nobody has ever even speculated, no legal mind has ever speculated that if you were to carry, though, it might be, without a permit, it might be seen as you're going to do somebody harm with that weapon. I mean, she is now trying to redefine what the burden of proof is to fit the Arkansas State Police Marble Palace, revenue agenda.
You hit the nail right on the head, Paul. That is exactly correct. And another thing, I saw there are things that she said that, yeah, that was right. But then she spins it, and she comes back around and flip-flops to the other side. And then she wants to use Supreme Court cases. There hasn't been a Supreme Court case since 2013. And when she tried to use her Supreme Court case argument, she didn't even list what case that was, and in order for people to research, such as, for example, Smith versus the state of Arkansas or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, and also she said in that carrying a concealed weapon without a permit could be probable cause to be arrested by a law officer.
Well, how?
Okay,
How
in the world does he know without violating your Fourth Amendment right?
Yeah.
How can he do it? It's unbelievable to me. And then in the very end, if you read the fine print at the very end of her letter, she said, I believe that we should be able to open carry, Arkansans should be able to open carry or concealed carry, that we should have constitutional carry. But that's not what her letter says. Mm-hmm. And she has set this whole scenario up. I'll tell you what, we know for a fact that Representative Ballinger tried to run a bill through in the last session to, quote, clarify 746 or to make it clear when we know it was to gut it. Mm-hmm. What she's done is thrown a bone back out to the legislation in the upcoming session in 2019 to gut 746. I guarantee you that she has carefully crafted and designed this opinion in order to appease, based upon who was elected. She waited for this opinion to come out based upon who won in these high-profile Senate races and in the representative races, and knowing for sure who came out winning in the governor's race, and then to issue this opinion. And so,
yeah, I mean,
that's exactly what has happened.
Yeah, it's if there's a piece of legislation filed next year to, quote, clarify Act 746, you can rest assured it will likely be to completely gut it and to give control of your Second Amendment rights back to elites and people that don't trust individuals with weapons. This is the part of the opinion on the second page that I found interesting, Dan Borum. She says, of course, a person arrested for a violation of 5-73-120, meaning the statute we're talking about. So if you were arrested for unlawfully carrying a weapon, that person, she writes, could argue that the fact he was carrying a concealed handgun without a concealed carry license does not justify a presumption that he had the intent to attempt to unlawfully employ the handgun as a weapon against a person. She writes, but it is my responsibility to advise that based on the current state of precedent from the Arkansas Supreme Court, there's a real chance such an argument could fail, and the courts will apply a rebuttable presumption of malintent. How? It's like she straddles the fence, just like Asa straddles the fence on every issue. I mean, she basically says, you know, you could argue that you weren't attempting to unlawfully employ by just having a weapon on or about your person, but she says, but, you know, maybe not. It's almost like it's a contrived. She's saying that things are muddy and unclear, but it seems it's contrived to me.
Paul, she is straddling the fence, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Here's the case. I was just recently reading an article. Actually, it was news that came out on CBS, and the whole center of attention was Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, and this we have this conglomeration of attorney generals, Republican attorney generals across the nation that have their little club that meet in these really grand places, such as on a little island off the coast of South Carolina, with their, you know, lavish dinners for lobbyists to pay $120,000, $125,000 to be there to meet with them personally in order to talk to them about court cases coming up. And she is deep state. She has went deep state on it. She is protecting the government. She is no longer there for the people, to protect the people. She is there for the government. She is there for ASA. She is there for the coppers of the Arkansas State Police. I'm calling her out. That's exactly what she's doing.
Well, okay,
she may have went into office with she may have went into office with good intentions, but now she's deep state, and the only way she's going to come out of the corruption is to throw the towel in and say, I quit.
Okay, I want to talk about what you just said, because those are some those are some accusations. But you mentioned the CBS report. I have that report. Inside a lavish retreat where lobbyists donate for access to state attorneys general.
That's right. And she's the chair.
Yeah, and she is the chair. And I'm trying to get the name of this state attorney general who are top law enforcement officials. Raga or Raga?
Raga, R-A-G-A.
Okay. Hang on one second.
Republican Attorney General Association, maybe.
Okay, yeah, Raga, R-A-G-A. That's exactly right, and we got it up there. And you know, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge is mentioned in this CBS report. Now, what I found interesting is how much money the NRA is donating. We asked 9 attorneys general. We saw there from Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, North Dakota, South Carolina, and Utah if they attended. Only 3, Idaho, South Carolina, and North Dakota, would confirm they went. Arkansas Attorney General Leslie Rutledge is the chair of Raga, but when we asked her staff if she was there, they responded by email, we have nothing additional. Now, my question to you is the NRA for permitless carry?
No. I would be, and I'll apologize to the NRA if they prove me differently. I would love for them to prove me differently, but they are not. They're playing the good old boy game in Arkansas along with the rest of them. Look at the NRA's representative in Arkansas that helped put this mess together called enhanced carry. The NRA was for that. The NRA worked along with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm very disappointed with the NRA. And I don't believe the NRA has our best interest at mind. I'm with Gun Owners of America, the Gun Owners of America Association. That's who I place my money to. It's no longer with the NRA.
It's fascinating stuff. Let me ask you this. I think this opinion, I would put Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, this opinion here, right up there with ASA saying that we're a constitutional carry state, but check with your local prosecutor to make sure that they're not going to prosecute you. This is basically the same thing. It's
lined up.
Yeah, it's not good government is what it is. It's not clear. It's not the government we want. We want some sort of certainty here where we know, whether we're going to go to jail or not, or get prosecuted or not, or get arrested or not, or in this case, we need to know if we're going to be harassed or not, in spite of what the law says. The law is clear. The law is clear. Okay? Yeah, you can carry a weapon as long as you don't have the intent to unlawfully employ it.
That's exactly right. But, as bad as I hate to say it, we do need, before they get 746 or before they try to get 746, we need a Supreme Court case in Arkansas. We need it.
You mean we need a prosecutor to go ahead and try to charge somebody?
That's right.
Yeah, and then the court precedent says, well, you can't.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But the prosecutors aren't bringing charges when people get falsely arrested because they read the law and they say there's no way we can get a conviction.
They know.
I can't read this guy's mind and know whether or not he was carrying to commit a crime against somebody else. We don't have telepaths.
That's exactly right. I understand, a law enforcement officer sees someone pacing back and forth. He see that he's got a weapon on him. He's pacing back and forth in front of a McDonald's talking to himself. He's pulling at his hair. Okay, if I'm law enforcement, I'm fixing to go check this guy out. I can see he's not in his right mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go and I'm going to confront him. But just an average citizen like yourself, Paul, like myself, I'm with my family. I'm not with my family. I just walk in to a place that doesn't prohibit you carrying a weapon, and they just come up to me and say, hey, I need to see you. No, sir. You leave me alone.
Yep.
The law's clear.
So, Dan, before this Attorney General's opinion came out, and I think it was dumped out on the website on Friday, so we kind of missed it for a while, we were going to have you on. We're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, government-controlled socialized medicine and how that might affect your Second Amendment rights. And you text me that, and it intrigued me. I'm like, well, Dan Borum, how do you think this government involvement in our health care could affect our Second Amendment rights?
That's something that I have thought about for a long time, and I want to tell you what sparked my attention to that is back during the presidential race, during the primary, when Dr. Ben Carson was one of the candidates for the to be a Republican nominee. He, being a fabulous mind and one of the greatest doctors, neurosurgeons in our country, he said that he has watched men who were extremely wealthy on their deathbed who would give anything to live one more day. And he said socialized medicine is nothing more than to control the population and to take away the rights of the population. And when I started thinking about that, I would say, you know what, I'd rather die than to give up my rights. Okay, I can say that for myself. But can I say that for my child who may be suffering with cancer, my child that may be suffering with whatever disease that may come along, or just simply a broken leg, or my wife that suffers with rheumatoid arthritis? And to say, okay, the only way that I can have medical attention for my child or for my family is for me to prove that I am willing to give up my Second Amendment right. Look at what's already happening in Arkansas with the medical marijuana. Okay? Medical marijuana for a cancer patient to help them relieve nausea, to help them relieve some pain, is probably a better choice than look at the poison they're putting in cancer patients to kill the cancer. Medical marijuana is nothing in comparison to the poison they're putting in our body. Okay? Now, already, if you have a prescription, or if you're going to get a prescription for medical marijuana in Arkansas, then you cannot own a gun.
Wow.
So, right there, that tells you that down the road, people say, oh, it'll never happen. I'm telling you, if they get this socialized medicine all across the nation and completely do away with any chance of private medical insurance, it's coming down the pike. You better believe it. I'm telling you.
So it's kind of like, it's a leverage. It's kind of like if you want your highway funding, then you're going to make the legal drinking age, 21 or older. So if you want to be dependent on the government for your health care needs, then you're also going to be dependent on the government for your protection. And we don't want you to own a gun either. Dan, that's sound logic in terms of the pitfalls of big government. It's a slippery slope, and that is actually very, very sound. And I have never thought of that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Paul. We the people better get out of this apathetic state. I'm very disappointed in Senate District 8. 4,054 voters showed up in the greater Fort Smith area to vote in this special election for Senate between Glidewell and Pitch. Okay? 4,054 people in the greater Fort Smith and Greenwood, Arkansas area. That's all that showed up to vote. The apathy is killing us, not only in this state, but all across the nation. And if we don't get our heads out of the sand, we're going to lose this thing. We're going to lose it for our posterity. And then we're going to turn around one day and look back and go, what happened? I want to tell you what happened. We, the people, didn't give a hoot. We stuck our head in the sand. We said, it doesn't directly affect me. I don't care. I'd rather go lay on the beach. I'd rather go down here in my swimming pool rather than go down and vote. You get what you deserve. And if this is what happens, I'm going to, I'm mad. I'm mad at the government, but I'm even madder at we the people because we have been too apathetic.
Dan Borum with the Patriots of Act 746, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Paul, thank you, and you all have a great day, and God bless each and every one.
God bless you too. Dan Borum, everybody.